Good morning. Welcome to the Veranda Financing Podcast. Today is a special episode because we are talking about ways that you can save a life. Today, our guest is Arthur Dunk of the Caribbean Bone Marrow Registry. He founded the registry to help individuals from the region, Latin America, and beyond stricken with leukemia, sickle cell anemia, and other blood maladies in need of a stem cell bone marrow transplant. And we think that this episode will be perfect for you who are listening because you never know when you're going to need this service. And we really want you to listen in and see how you could work with the Caribbean Bone Marrow Registry. Hi, thanks for joining us today, Arthur.
Thank you, Christine, for having me, waking up early to give us an opportunity to share with your listeners. First of all, I'd like to thank you and your husband, the team at Wings Magnus, and also Veranda Financing for being there for us from the beginning. And we have made a lot of strides, and people like yourself are part of that process.
Well, that's awesome. Well, could you tell us a little bit about Caribbean Bone Registry?
Okay, so the registry is based on trying to help people from the region, Latin America and beyond, that are in need of a stem cell transplant. What happened is that the need is great because we, as a group, are underrepresented in worldwide registry. So it came out of a need of helping individuals who need stem cell transplant to have an opportunity to get a transplant.
Okay. And why did you start the company?
Well, we started a company. The story is interesting. I came to this country many years ago from Jamaica. I should have gone to medical school, but a series of incidents and circumstances got me into the field in 1990, which kind of tells my age. And through that experience, I got into this field, and it's been a labor of love because we were able to help many, many people here in the United States receive stem cell transplants. Unfortunately, as time went on, I noticed that a lot of people from the region would come up for help, from Latin America would come up for help, and they would pass away from their diseases because there was no match. And so I had a tremendous yearning to do something about it. And in 1997, a patient husband had died. A patient had died, and I made a promise to his crying widow that as soon as I had an opportunity to do something about it, we would. And so in 2014, we got this going, and it's actually been a tremendous help and blessing because many people have been helped. There's a tremendous awareness out there now, and we have a tremendous team of people working with us. We have, I want to mention them, we have Drs. Ronald Charlton, Drs. Medat Asker, and Dr. Ward from the University of the West Indies, who are the driving forces behind this effort. We have over 600 donors in our database so far, and we are growing stronger every day. So it's been tremendous.
So what challenges do you see with the genetic makeup of people of color and why it may be difficult for them to find matches in registries?
Okay, great question. It's a numbers game. It really is a numbers game, man. And the fact is that although the industry has been around for more than 30 years as far as looking for stem cell transplant, the point is that we are underrepresented in registries worldwide. So unfortunately, when people of Caribbean descent and people of African descent develop these maladies, if you don't have a match within your family, then your chance of survival goes way down. The numbers are bad for people of Caribbean and Latin American descent. Especially in the Caribbean, we rank last in the world in finding a match outside of your family. So the numbers are against us. And that's why we're so motivated to change this, to do what we can to help our people. A few years ago, as a matter of fact, last year, 2017, in November, we started a process with Stem Cell Registry Alliance, where a group of us from Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and the UK came together. We're all emerging registries or recruitment groups. We came together to try and put together a collaboration that would enable us to help the people from the diaspora. So far, our main project is a 100K project where we hope to recruit 100,000 donors by the year 2030. So we're excited about that.
That's very exciting. Is it so? When people, can you walk us through the process of actually being part of the registry? Like, if someone's listening to us right now and they're like, okay, that sounds interesting. What do they need to do to be a part of the registry?
Okay, before I do that, I'm gonna give a little tidbit of a news. We actually have found matches so far, related matches. We found one for a 16-year-old patient in Latin America. We also found one for a 51-year-old who is actually having a transplant now. So we have had some success as far as helping people, which I want. It's not all bad, we're making progress. So I
Right.
wanted that
That's
out
awesome.
there.
No,
Yes,
that's
yes, we're
awesome.
very
That's
happy.
awesome.
We're very happy about that. So it's easy to become registered. It's basically a swap. It takes 5 minutes. You fill out a questionnaire which goes over some basic questions, and then we'll swap. We do a cheek swab, and that's it. The samples go off to the laboratory. It's tested. Once we get the results, it's put in a database, and we'll search it when folks need matches and take it from there. We're currently working with about 6 active patients who are looking for
Okay.
transplant. The ranges go from children all the way up to adults, and that's our main focus, to see what we can do to help these individuals who have not found a match within their family members and are looking for donors.
And you hear these ages from children all the way up. I know that in in an industry like yours, like you said, there are a lot of triumphs, and there are also times when you couldn't really help someone. Could you tell us of the triumphs as well as the times where, you couldn't find a match, just for everyone to understand how serious this situation is?
Yeah, I might get emotional. Well, the triumphs are, the 16-year-old that we're able to help, and the 51-year-old who was doing well right now, who's having the transplant. We're very happy about that. My first case was in 2014. I was in Baltimore, and we received a call from a young lady. Her husband, she's of Trinidadian descent. Her husband had leukemia, and there was no help, so they wanted to see what we could do. So we organized a drive, and his name was Ed Duke. So we organized a drive to have some donors for him. I remember I got a phone call about a month later. It was from his wife. She called me, and she said Ed's not doing well, and I could hear in the background. You hear the machines in the background, and she said, "What is it?" And she said, "Oh, Ed wants you to know that he wants you to get the samples, even though he won't make it."
Wow.
So we got like 50 donors. They had it sent up from Trinidad, and they're not part of our database. But I remember him every day, and we keep working for him and carrying on his fight. We also had a patient. His name is David Rochester. He was in Canada, of Jamaican descent. He also passed away before anything could be done. And we are actually working with the family, where we have a scholarship fund for the children of our deceased patients, and we try and help them as far as their education is concerned. So those are the stories that break my heart, but it keeps me going every day.
Yeah, and that's tough. But when you think about even like a disease like sickle cell that affects so many African Americans, the Caribbean Bone Marrow Registry could really help, because if they find a match, how would that help, like someone with sickle cell?
Yes, sickle cell is also one of the diseases that we work with, sickle cell patients. Same concept. Basically, a match is found. The donor will be worked up with the patient, and then they'll go for transplant. So sickle cell is another area which is endemic to the African American community, the Caribbean communities, Middle Eastern communities. So we try our best to be there for everyone as it relates to these kind of diseases, because until we improve these numbers, things are not going to change. So we really have to do what we can do to improve the numbers for them.
So how can we be a part of this challenge that you have created? Could you tell us a little bit more about it, how we can be a part of it?
Simple. The easiest way, there's 3 ways. Number one, you can become a potential donor. Our donor age ranges from 18 to 60. Some registries cut off at 45, but you can get a transplant up to 60 years old. So we want to make it available to everybody as possible, especially since our numbers are low. So we go from ages 18 to 60. Basically, you contact us at our website, www.caribbeanmarrow.org. We'll send off all the information you need. We'll send out the kits. You'll swab, send it back to us, and we'll start the process that way. So that's the first way you can help. If you're not able to become a donor, you can send a family member or a friend, send them to our website so they can be involved. The next is support. We're not funded by the government. We basically raise our own support. So you can also donate, make a financial donation by visiting our website. Everything is all set up there. We have a 501c3 company, World Marrow Fund, which will take care of your receipts and stuff like that. We also have a relationship with Amazon. We're part of the Amazon Smile program. So if you shop on Amazon and you adopt us as your nonprofit World Marrow Fund, then Amazon will send us a small donation at no extra cost to you. We're trying to raise funds to build the infrastructure. We're trying to raise funds for typing. We're trying to raise funds for a commercial database. And we're also raising funds to help the children of our deceased patients. So these are what the funds go for.
So it's very simple, easy ways, and especially in the season of giving, I can't think of a better way to celebrate Christmas this year than to support an organization like this. You can literally save a life through just a swab or also just donating to this cause, because this is doing great things. And most of us, especially in the African-American descent, know someone who is suffering with sickle cell anemia and who has been impacted by different forms of cancer. And to hear of these numbers, it's very startling, but also to hear of all the people you're helping, that gives us a lot of hope. So, Arthur, I'm so happy that you stopped by, and I just have these rapid-fire questions for people to get to know you a little bit. You have a minute for this?
Yeah, but before, also visit us on Facebook. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, because that helps you to follow up what we're doing, so you'll have updates, you'll see what's going on, and we love to build relationships, so feel free to do so.
And also, before we go into rapid-fire questions, can you tell us a little bit about your service for genetic mapping?
Okay, so, right, so as Christy knows, I've been in the field of immunogenetics for very, very long time. It kind of dates me, 28 years. And due to my love for history and geography, I fell into the HLA haplotype matching program. We were able to look at certain haplotypes that are transferred from your ancestors from hundreds or thousands of years. So basically what we're able to do is to map whatever haplotype you inherited from wherever your ancestors came from, and we're able to put it in a database. We're able to tell you where we think you're, based on numbers, where we think you're descendant from, and it's really interesting. We're also working to do it across the Caribbean and Latin America. So in the future, we're able to say, okay, you're from the Southeast United States, you're from Northeast United States, and you're linked to someone in the Caribbean, you're linked to someone in Latin America, you're linked to someone in Africa. And part of the Stem Cell Registry project is we're also going to be doing a lot more of that. We're going to be collaborating to do haplotype studies also. So it's a fascinating field. I am a lab geek when it comes onto that stuff, with the numbers of it. So we also offer that service. So if you don't want to become a part of the registry, but you want to find out, it's a small sample size because we're relatively small. If you want to find out a little bit about what we know so far, you can contact us for ancestral mapping program, and we'll get you involved in that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Now, I have a question, though. What has been the most interesting ancestral mapping you've seen? Because I think sometimes we assume that we are from a certain place, and when you get the research back, it may look completely different than where you thought you were from.
Well, it's interesting. Full disclosure, I did Christine's husband, and he had a very rare allele, which was from China. So, typically he looks,